All right. So good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 2024 AmeriCorps New York program year 2024 AmeriCorps New York program development training. Thank you everyone for joining us. Just bear with me for 1 second. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay. All right. Okay. So for everyone who's just joining us, please be sure to enter your full name and program name and title in the chat. Um, Bear in mind that these sessions are virtual and recorded. I'll make them available after the training. As some of you may be familiar or may have heard rumors that we're developing a 2024 AmeriCorps New York program handbook, and I've submitted the rough draft to commission staff, and we're heavily reviewing it and editing it and making it the very best resource that we can for our program staff. So we're hoping to finalize that by the end of this month, maybe a little after, we'll see. But that's our goal, and we're hoping to get a handbook. The handbook's going to be based on all these trainings and other material that we've done recently, such as the financial management deep dives with Susan Mesh. Um, this is the schedule. So this week we're going to be covering three topics. Welcome to AmeriCorps New York, program policies and procedures and recruitment. Next week we'll be covering member service agreements, member benefits, member supervision and support. We'll be having our our trainings every Tuesday of August, and also the first Tuesday in September. And they generally start around 10. I'm trying to make them roughly about 2 hours. You may want to, as a heads up, you may want to have your financial management staff attend our third session on August 20th. We'll be covering financial management, contract management system. I don't want to give any spoilers away, but so some important stuff will for your fiscal staff, you'll want them to attend then. For anyone just joining us, be sure to enter your program name, your full name, and your title in the chat, please. All right, so welcome to AmeriCorps New York. I'm Eric Skiff. I'm the training specialist here with the commission, and let's go over a couple of agenda items. So, what is AmeriCorps? Hopefully, many of you should be familiar with what AmeriCorps is, but we want to get down to it and show you what other things that AmeriCorps offers and be a little bit more elaborate. I want to go over a thing about how to speak AmeriCorps. Very important. There are certain concepts, certain ideas, certain terms that we want to use when we refer to AmeriCorps in New York State, and also some phrases we want to avoid. So we're going to go over that. Priorities. What is the priorities of AmeriCorps, federal and state? What is our history? What is our structure? How is our organization developed? Or how is our organization structure? How does it look? And what are some functions of AmeriCorps New York? So let's get right down to it. So what is AmeriCorps? AmeriCorps is a federal agency which brings people together to tackle the country's most pressing challenges through national service and volunteering. AmeriCorps members and AmeriCorps senior volunteers serve with organizations dedicated to the improvement of communities. So I want to make a distinction here. AmeriCorps is a federal agency, and as you'll see shortly, different states administer AmeriCorps in their own separate state. And so that's why I make a distinction between AmeriCorps and AmeriCorps New York. So we're the state level of AmeriCorps, and I'll be getting to that here shortly. So AmeriCorps Federal offers individuals and organizations flexible ways to make a local and lasting impact through their programs. And just to reiterate, we are AmeriCorps State and National. The grant that you have with the New York State Commission on National Community Service is considered an AmeriCorps state grant. There's also AmeriCorps Vista, which we also feature. There's NCCC, Volunteer Grant Fund, and there's other programs that AmeriCorps at the federal level offers. But we here at the commission, we mostly focus on AmeriCorps State and Vista. So, and there's all this material will be in the handbook, just to reiterate. So, how to speak AmeriCorps New York. This is one of my favorite things, and this is very important. So, I want to highlight the fact: how do we pronounce AmeriCorps? So, we do not say AmeriCorps, AmeriCorps. We say AmeriCorps. So um, the the yeah. So that's another important consideration. Um, AmeriCorps does not have employees. We have members. We have members that um, enter in service agreements, and we don't refer to them as employees. The service that AmeriCorps members partake in is not work. We do not consider it work. We consider it service. We're going to talk in another session about a teleservice. Uh, they do not telecommute. AmeriCorps New York members do not telecommute. They may perform teleservice, and that's something that we'll get into. It's a very popular topic. We'll get into that in a later session. And just like AmeriCorps New York members are not employees and they don't work, they're not hired. They're selected. Um, they do not receive a wage. They receive a living allowance. So this is a really nice guide. It'll be in the handbook. A great way to understand, what concepts do we use when we refer to AmeriCorps, what we don't. So some branding guidelines for AmeriCorps. This comes from the Federal AmeriCorps. This is on their website. Um, AmeriCorps is such an important program that we want everyone to know about it, and so we want to have consistent and branding. And these are some guidelines on how to do that. Um, there are some links. The links are down below here. The branding guidelines must be used by all grantees and partners, and that will also be in the handbook. And if anyone has any questions, please feel free to jump in. Don't be bashful. I'm not so sure how well I can see hands in the chat, and if any AmeriCorps members or if any commission staff see any hands raised, please let me know. For any of you who are just joining us, don't forget to throw your program name, full name, and title in the chat, please. So, what are AmeriCorps priorities? Does anyone know what the priorities of AmeriCorps are? Feel free to take yourself off mute. What do you think? What are the priorities of AmeriCorps, either at the national level or the state level? Anyone who's not commission staff, does anyone know? No cheating. I'm not able to see the chat, so just anything in the chat, let me know. Anyone know what the AmeriCorps priorities are? What are we concerned about when we AmeriCorps? All right. Going once, going twice, anyone? All right, so there's 6 of them at the federal level. There is disaster services, education, healthy futures, and economic opportunity, environmental stewardship, veterans, and military families. And those are all priorities that Federal AmeriCorps identifies as priorities. In fact, they're in your grant application. There's even scoring that's done. And that's something that Anthony will talk about in a later session. So those are key areas, and all of our programs are representative of either one or more of those priorities. There's a link to AmeriCorps to the AmeriCorps website for all the key priorities. So, what are some key events in national service? Um, AmeriCorps started off back in 1933 with the Civilian Conservation Corps, and it's developed through time. I don't want to get into each of the dates, but some important things to consider is in 1993 there was the National Community Service Trust Act, and all the different state commissions were created in 1993, and that's where the New York State Commission started. I think the legislation was actually enacted in 1994, and so that's why we're celebrating our 30th anniversary this year. In 2009, The Edward M. Kennedy Service AmeriCorps Act expanded national service and AmeriCorps. So going back to 1993 when the state commissions were first developed, um, in New York State, Governor Mario M. Cuomo signed an executive order.
Looks like we lost Eric.
It's not just me.
Also administers AmeriCorps grants to nonprofits, faith and community-based organizations, public agencies, Native American tribes, and institutions of higher education that operate in New York State. So the commission is only concerned with AmeriCorps in New York State. And then there are separate organizations and commissions in other states that focus on AmeriCorps in their own state. So here's a good question. As far as the commission is concerned, the New York State Commission, what are the two groups? How is it structured? What are the two groups that make up the commission? I'm talking to one of them. What are the two groups? What two groups make up the commission? Does anyone know? So I think someone in the chat just said OCFS. So that's kind of close. OCFS is New York State Office of Children and Family Services. That is that is the agency that the commission works under. That's kind of like our mother agency, if you will. We operate within their building and alongside of them. And you'll notice that our email address has a OCFS in it. But that is not what makes up the commission. There are two groups. That's our host agency. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, I just saw someone say staff and commission. It was real quick. That's correct. So the commission is made up of two groups. They're made up of commission members, which serve as kind of like a board, and then there's also the commission staff, which is I'm part of the staff, and there's a few other staff members here as well. Let's talk about the commission members that are appointed by the governor. They have strong backgrounds in community service and leadership. I think there's about 11 of them right now at last count. They promote volunteering and community service. Their bios are on our website. So there's a link there. Our chair is Michael S. Cashman, and there's some of our commission members there that have served at some of our summits. So let's talk more about my favorite group, commission staff. And they administer AmeriCorps programs through grants to local entities to address community identified needs. We develop a strategic, at the commission staff develops a strategic service plan. We'll talk about that in a very short second. Commission staff also administers the AmeriCorps Vista program, which supports COVID-19 recovery initiatives in the state. And it develops, support, and promote statewide culture of volunteer service and civic responsibility. And we do that by managing grant applications, contracts. We offer technical support and trainings, what you're in right now. And we conduct outreach. And more importantly, we host events like the AmeriCorps Service Summit, which I hope many of you have been involved with and have experienced. And if not, we'll have one coming up next year, so you won't miss a thing. So a little bit more of a deep dive of who exactly is the commission staff. At last count, we're at 12 strong, and we include our executive director, Linda, and our director of programs, Beth, who I hope many of you know of or have interacted with. And you'll see the rest of us are all program administrators, myself and the training specialist. Is there anyone listed here that anyone doesn't recognize? Any new name at all? This is a question for our program staff, AmeriCorps New York program staff. Is there any name here that you don't recognize? Seems kind of new. Don't be bashful. Don't give it away, commission staff. Is there any name here? Carl, very good, outstanding. Carl gets a gold star for today. So, Kenny, would you take a second and And Kenny Blackwell, can you go ahead and take a second and introduce yourself? Kenny is
Hi.
our newest staff member. Yeah.
Thanks, Eric. Good morning. My name is Ketty Blackwell. I just joined the commission staff a couple of weeks ago, so I'm pretty new to the office. I'm actually learning a lot here this morning on this training, so thank you, Eric. I spent the last several years in the nonprofit sector, prior to that in higher ed, so I have a lot to learn, but everyone here in the office has been really helpful and welcoming, so I appreciate it, and I look forward to meeting you all in person, getting to know you. So thanks so much.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Kenny. We appreciate everything you've done so far. So, in the short time that you've been here. So, yeah. So you should hear and see a lot more of Kenny. She's the newest person of our administrative staff, who joined Cindy. So, if you see any emails from her, take notice of them. So, yeah. All right. So, some people might have thought that I might have glossed over this, but I did not. So, what is the state commission's priority areas? We've already discussed the six priority areas of AmeriCorps federal, but what is our priority areas? And they are community wellness, economic opportunity, climate equity, and you can find those focus areas in our service plan. And our service plan is new for this year, and it goes through 2026. And and there's a link to our service plan. It's on our website. Really great stuff in there, with methodologies, how we came up with these priority areas and the focus groups and all that. So, um, lots of good stuff there. So let's talk about what is a portfolio. So our portfolio includes all of our programs across New York State, and we have almost 40 of them at this point. Um, they're representative of the federal priorities, which I mentioned earlier, as well as our state priorities, which the service plan that I just mentioned goes over. And what are some of the so let me ask the program staff, and it's right here in front of you. But what are some of the things that programs are asked to do? What are some things? What are activities? What are the expectations that the commission has for programs? Anyone? Right in front of you. What is the number one thing that we ask commission that the commission asks programs to do? What is the most important activity? What is the most important thing that an AmeriCorps New York program does? Anyone? Member impact? That's close, Walida. It's maybe I'm being a little vague about what I'm talking about. So recruit. Oh, support its members. That is important, yes. But recruit. We are nothing without our members, and we don't get those members unless we recruit. So the biggest thing that New York State programs need to do is recruit. So that's the biggest expectation the commission has for programs. Now, in addition to that, there's participation in national and New York State days of service, and they include Martin Luther King MLK Day, National Volunteer Week, the 9/11 Day of Service, and I Love My Park Day. Those are it's very important that we engage in those events. So, and we include our members in them. But recruitment is very important, and we're going to talk a lot about recruitment here very shortly. So. All right, so that includes our the introduction to AmeriCorps New York. Um, for anyone who's just joining us, don't forget to drop your name, your program name, and your title in our chat. We want to make sure you're accounted for. So, does anyone have any questions? Thought I just heard someone take themselves off mute. Anna, anyone? Right. So,